अभिषेक साबळे, पूजा अहिरे, महेश कोळी, राजेश्वरी जाधव, अभिषेक मोरे, मेघना खोटरे। आवाज़ आ रहा है कि नहीं? मेघना खोटरे, रूपरसिक खरे, वैभवी दर्ले, स्वप्निल थोरात, वैभव चव्हाण के, प्रज्वल विस्कुते।
प्रेजेंट सर।
मानवी आयरे,
प्रेजेंट सर।
आदित्य कुंवर, दक्षता बोरसे, शुभम ठाकरे,
प्रेजेंट सर।
श्रीकांत साळी, प्रतीक कौर,
प्रेजेंट सर।
हेमांगी बागुल,
प्रेजेंट सर।
प्रतीक पवार,
प्रेजेंट सर।
ऋतिक बदाने, आयुष देवरे, स्वप्निल गांगुर्डे, धनश्री बहिराम, युवराज निकम,
प्रेजेंट सर।
सानिका चौहान,
प्रेजेंट सर।
कुणाल नंदाले, अल्पेश बागुल, अनीश देसले,
प्रेजेंट सर।
रितेश संभारकर, जयेंद्र तोडावत, प्रांजल सटाळकर, वेदांत मदनकर,
प्रेजेंट सर।
ऋतुजा शहाणे, सिद्धार्थ महाले, अमृता दांडे,
प्रेजेंट सर।
अमीषा द्विवेदी, वैष्णवी बस्ते, दीक्षांत जगताप, मानसी वैद्य।
प्रेजेंट सर।
Here see that the formation of complex. Today we are going to study this topic, that is the formation of complex by the transition metals. So here complex means what? Complex means, suppose I will take this example, FeCN6 3 minus. This FeCN6 is for ferricyanide, and this is FeCN6 4 minus, it is a ferrocyanide. So ferricyanide and ferrocyanide, these are the two different things, but their formulas are same, similar formulas are there, but they are having different charges on their ions. Ions are having different charges. So it is having -3 charge, it is having -4 charge. Now how it is formed? The complex substances are formed like this. Here it is Fe. Fe is there, and to this Fe there are 6 cyanides are attached. So 6 cyanides are attached. The axial 2 cyanides are there. Here cyanide and top cyanide and the bottom cyanide. So these are the 2 cyanides are there, and in the plane there are 4 cyanides are present inside the plane. So this is one cyanide, then second cyanide, then this is third cyanide, and this is the fourth cyanide. So in this way, in the plane there are 4 cyanide groups are present. So these groups which are going to attach to the central metal atom, that is called as a ligands. So cyanide is a ligand. There are 6 ligands are present. Okay, then these 6 ligands are enclosed in a square bracket. Why they are enclosed in the square bracket? Because they are the complex compounds. So the complex compounds are always expressed inside the square bracket, and outside the square bracket there is charges are present. So if any compound is having the -3 charge, so outside on the right hand side, top side, you have to write the charges which are present on that complex. So here I am writing down the -3 charge is present on that complex. So in this way, this is called as a ferricyanide. But if it is there are having a 4- charge, then it is called as a ferrocyanide. Now in this case, what happens? There is a covalent bond is present between the central iron and ligand cyanide. There is a covalent bonds are present, and they are not ionic bonds. So here these 6 bonds, they are the covalent bonds joined from the carbon to the iron. These are the 6 covalent bonds are formed. And further in the next chapter you can study that these bonds formed, that is the number of bonds are the 6 bonds, they are called as the secondary valency, and the ions which are formed here, that is the called as the primary valency. So primary valency is the ionizable valency, and the secondary valency is the non-ionizable valency. So if you are asked that how many is the secondary valency, then you have to write down that there is a 6 is the secondary valency, because there are 6 bonds are there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bonds are there covalently bonded to the metal atom, and therefore the secondary valency is 6. So in this way the complexes are formed. Now these complexes are not formed by the other elements like P block or S block or F block. They are only formed by the D block elements, and because of this we can say that the D block or transition metals are going to form the complex compound. So complex compound and also the F block are also going to form a complex compound. So the complex compound formation is taking place in the case of the transition metals, and therefore that is the one of the property of the transition elements, that they are going to form a complex compound. Okay, now why they are forming the complex compound? The reason for formation of the complex compound is the presence of the d orbital in the transition metals, and these transition metals are having d orbital and incompletely filled d orbital. They are not having the completely filled, but they are having the incompletely filled d orbital. Because of this incompletely filled d orbital, these ligands like cyanide or other, they can donate the electron to the metal atom. So like this, suppose there is a cyanide is there, cyanide is having the lone pair of electron. This lone pair of electron donated to the metal d orbital, that is the half filled, or it is the incompletely filled d orbital. So it is donated, the lone pair of electron is donated to the metal ion, and because of that the formation of the covalent bond is going to take place. This type of covalent bond formed is called as a coordinate covalent bond. Coordinate covalent bond. So due to this, complex formation is going to take place in the transition metals. Okay, so see this, in the chapter number 9 we are going to study in detail, but this is due to comparatively smaller size. That is the one of the reason why it is going to form a complex compound, that is due to a smaller metal ion size and a high ionic charges. The another point is that high ionic charges, and the third point is that the availability of the d orbitals to form the bond. So we have to mention the 3 reasons. First, that is the smaller metal ions, and the second, there is this high ionic charges, and the third one is the availability of the d orbital for the bond formation. So these 3 points we have to mention while for explaining the complex formation compound. Now, the another point which is very important in this chapter is that the catalytic property. And every time this question is there, why the transition metals are going to form the complex compound, why the transition metals are going to form the catalytic properties. So this is very important question. Now in the last chapter in the chemical kinetics, we have studied that the catalysts are going to decrease the activation energy. So that is the one of the point, that is due to decrease in the activation energy. The catalyst mainly used is iron. So iron is used as a catalyst in the Haber's process, that is the manufacturing of the ammonia, as well as in the different types of the substances, different types of the reactions. We are going to use the transition metals as a catalyst. So why they are used as a catalyst? The point number one is it is going to decrease the activation energy. It is going to provide the larger surface area to the to formation of the acting as a catalyst. So transition metals, when they are finally divided, they are going to provide the very large surface area, and due to this large surface area they can act as a catalyst. That is the second point. And the third point is that this is due to the variable oxidation states. As stated earlier, while explaining the oxidation state, variable oxidation state, I have mentioned that the transition metals are going to show the variable oxidation state. Now why they are going to show the variable oxidation state? Due to the incompletely filled d orbital. So that is the one of the reason why they are going to show the variable oxidation state. So if you see here, the transition metal compounds are known for the catalytic activities. The activity is ascribed to adapt the multiple oxidation state. So this is very important point. So we have to keep it as a first point. So what is that first point? Very important point. It is due to the ability. Point number one, that is the ability to adopt the multiple oxidation states. So this is the first point for the catalytic. Why they are showing the catalytic property? So here they are showing the catalytic property because they can adopt the multiple oxidation states. Okay, so that is the first point. The another point is that catalyst at the solid surface involve formation of the bonds between the reactants and the molecular atoms of the surface of the catalyst. Okay, surface of the catalyst, that means they has the effect of increasing the concentration of the reactant as at the surface, and this is a surface phenomenon. Catalysis is a surface phenomenon, as like that of the adsorption. Adsorption में हमने देखा था कि निकल क्या करता है, कैटलिस्ट का काम करता है, and the nickel is going to adsorb the gases. A gas and the B gas are adsorbed on the surface of the nickel, and they are the residual forces. The adsorption is due to the residual forces. So here also the same thing is happening here. The effect of increasing the concentration of the reactant at the catalyst surface is also weakening the bond. So here the main point is the activation energy. Okay, the lowering of the activation energy. The catalyst is going to lower down the activation enthalpy, and that is the second point. So while mentioning the second point, you have to write down that these catalysts are going to decrease the activation energy, lower down the activation energy. And the another reason, that is the surface area. Here it is mentioned that the surface of the catalyst. Okay, the solid surface of the catalyst is more, and that is the third point. And because of these 3 points, they are acting as a catalyst. Okay, for example, iron 3 catalyst. So iron 3 catalyst, that is the reaction between the iodine and the persulfide ions. ये देखो persulfide ions, iodide ions, and that is going to react with, then iodine is evolved. And explanation of this catalytic action can be given as the Fe3 plus react with the iodide ion to give the Fe2 plus, and the Fe2 plus react with this S2O8 2 minus ion to give back the Fe3 plus ion. So here the nature of the catalyst is regenerated, and original condition is maintained in the cycling of the reaction. Okay, so in this way this reaction, example is given to understand that the transition metals are going to adopt the multiple oxidation state. So here first of all it was having the +3 oxidation state, then it has attained the +2 oxidation state after this reaction, again the +2 oxidation state has attained the +3 oxidation state again. So it has converted into its original condition. So in this way the catalysts are going to adopt the multiple oxidation state. As the result, the transition metals are acting as a catalyst. So there are main important points are the adoption of the multiple oxidation state due to the incompletely filled d orbital. The second thing is the surface area of the catalyst is more, and the third thing is that the activation energy is lowered by the catalyst. So these 3 points you have to mention while explaining the catalytic properties. Okay, then see that the next point is that formation of the interstitial compound. Now what is meant by the interstitial compound? Interstitial compound means what? So suppose we are having the metals, iron metal or the copper metal, and these copper metals are present like this. This is one and this is two spherical structure of the copper is there, and they are having the similar shape, similar size, atoms are there. So like this they are having the atoms, they are compact arrangement because they are present in the solid state. Now though they are present in the solid state, there is interstitial gaps are present. So here if you see that there is a gap in between the atoms, that is the interstitial gap. Here is also the interstitial gap is present. Here is also interstitial gap is present. Here is also interstitial. So the gap between the molecules is called as the interstitial gap. So the interstitial gaps are present in between the atoms of the transition elements, and in this transition gap, in this what do you call it as a interstitial gap, these smaller atoms like hydrogen, like carbon and like nitrogen, they are entrapped in it. So like this, suppose it is a hydrogen and this hydrogen is going to occupy this position. Suppose it is a carbon is going to occupy this position. Suppose it is nitrogen is going to occupy this position. Interstitial gaps. So these elements, the smaller atoms, are when they are occupying the interstitial gaps, they are going to form interstitial compound. Interstitial compounds. Now these interstitial compounds are having the here they are having the characters. They are having the high melting points. They are hard in nature, and they retain the metallic conductivity. They are chemically inert. So these are the more improved properties as compared to the original metals. So if the original metal is having less strength, then if we make the interstitial compound of that, then it will become more stronger. Okay, more stronger, it is having more melting point, which is having more conductivity, so which is more inert, chemically inert. So in this way the improved properties are produced in the interstitial compound. So here we will going to see that what is interstitial compound. So interstitial compounds are those which are formed when the small atoms like hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen are entrapped or trapped inside the crystal lattice of the metals. क्रिस्टल लैटिस में ये एंट्रैप हो जाता है इंटरस्टिशियल साइट में। कौन कौन से एटम्स है? हाइड्रोजन, कार्बन एंड नाइट्रोजन, बिकॉज दे आर स्मॉलर एटम्स, सो दे आर usually non-stoichiometric and are neither typically ionic or nor covalent. So they are like this titanium TiC, Mn4n and Fe3H like this, and VH 0.56, TiH 1.7 like this. There is a fractional numbers are there, 1.6, then 0.56 like this. The fractional numbers are there. The formulas quoted do not of course correspond to the normal oxidation state of the metal. तो ये जो है नॉर्मल ऑक्सीडेशन स्टेट नहीं है यहाँ पे टिटेनियम की और फिर वैनेडियम की, बिकॉज फ्रैक्शनल में वो सब्सटेंसेस उसके साथ में कंबाइन हो रहे हैं। Because of the nature of their composition, these compounds are referred to as interstitial compounds. इनको हम interstitial compounds कहते हैं क्योंकि interstitial gap में जाकर के ये atoms बैठ जाते हैं, इसलिए the principal physical and chemical characteristics of these compounds are as follows. तो ये interstitial compound के जो characteristics है वो ओरिजिनल मेटल से भी ज़्यादा अच्छे होते हैं। क्यों? क्योंकि दे आर हैविंग हाई मेल्टिंग पॉइंट, दे आर हैविंग देन दोज ऑफ द प्योर मेटल्स, दे आर वेरी हार्ड देन दैट ऑफ द प्योर सब्सटेंसेस, दे आर हैविंग मोर मेटेलिक conductivity than that of pure substances, they are more chemically inert than that of the pure substances. So in this way they are having the more improved properties, and because of that they are the interstitial compounds. Okay, so this is about interstitial compound. Now we are going to see the next topic, that is the alloy formation. Now in the 10th class you have studied that what is the alloy. Alloy is a homogeneous mixture. Alloy is a homogeneous mixture. Homogeneous, that means we cannot distinguish from the metal and metal, that is so mixed up together homogeneously so that we cannot separate it. And why they are forming the homogeneous mixture? Now here the definition of the alloy is the homogeneous mixture of the two or more metals or metal and non-metal. तो इसमें मेटल के भी मिक्सचर हो सकते हैं या फिर मेटल और नॉन मेटल के भी मिक्सचर हो सकते हैं। जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल स्टील में हम कार्बन के इम्प्योरिटीज ऐड करते हैं। कार्बन इज एडेड इन द आयरन मेटल so that we get the alloy of the steel. So the carbon atom is a non-metal, so it is added to form the alloy. Now here why they are going to form the alloys, that is the main question. Why transition metals are going to form the alloy? So the reason is that the transition metals, I will write down here. Suppose this is a transition metal, one transition metal, and suppose this is another transition metal, and suppose this is another transition metal like this, and suppose this is another transition metal like this, and suppose this is another transition metal like this, and suppose this is another transition metal like this. Now you can see that there suppose one of it is copper, one of it is zinc, suppose one of it is the another metal like zinc, nickel, one of it is the another metal like iron. So if you see that these metals are having more or less similar atomic sizes, and when they are having the similar atomic sizes they can form a homogeneous mixture. So whenever the atoms are having the similar atomic sizes they can intermix together very easily and they are going to form a homogeneous mixture, and because of that the homogeneous mixture formation they can easily form the alloys. Okay. So why they are going to form the alloy? So if you see that brass is a homogeneous mixture of copper and zinc. So here copper is there, here zinc is there, they are having similar atomic sizes. So here the another example, bronze is the example of copper and tin. So copper and tin, Sn, tin means Sn. So here copper and tin they are having the similar atomic sizes. So because of that similar atomic sizes, they are going to intermix together with very easily, and because of this easy intermixing, they are going to form the homogeneous mixture. So whenever homogeneous mixture of the two or more metals are going to form, then that is called as alloy. So that is the explanation why the transition metals are going to form the alloy. Okay. So thus we have studied the properties of the transition metals. Now we will see the next question, that is the in-text question. What is meant by the disproportionation of the oxidation state? Now here MnO4 2 minus ion plus H plus ion in the acidic condition, it is going to form the MnO4 minus ion and MnO2 and so MnO4 minus ion, MnO4 2 minus ion, here 2 minus ion is there. So here in this case the oxidation state of the manganese, if you can see that manganese oxidation state is 6, you can write down like this, 6 plus 6. Manganese is present in the plus 6 state, and here in the MnO4 minus ion it is plus 7. The oxidation state of the manganese is plus 7, and here in this case MnO2, then oxidation state is plus 4. It is plus 4. Now as you know that the disproportionation reaction means what? Whenever there is a disproportionation reaction is there, then the reactant oxidation state is increased as well as decreased in the product formation. So if you see that the plus 6 oxidation state is increased to plus 7 oxidation state, and plus 6 oxidation state is decreased to plus 4 oxidation state. So here decrease of the oxidation state is also there, and the increase of oxidation state is also there from that of the reactant oxidation state, and because of this we can say that this is undergoing to the disproportionation reaction. So understood? What is disproportionation reaction? The reaction in which the oxidation state is increased or decreased in the product side as that of the reactant side. So that is called as a disproportionation reaction. So in the case of this is very important reaction. Why? Because in this reaction it is the main basic reaction of the formation of the permanganate ion. So permanganate ion is formed by this reaction, and you will study in the next topic that it is important. So see the another question, in-text question, that is explain why Cu2 plus ion is not stable in the aqueous solution. So this is already over. That is as you know that the Cu plus is undergoing the disproportionation in the form of the Cu into 0 condition and Cu into plus 2 condition, and this is also a disproportionation reaction because Cu positive, it is a plus 1 state. The plus 1 state is increased in this case into plus 2, and the plus 1 state is decreased to 0, and there is both the increase and decrease is observed in the product side, and as the result this is a disproportionation reaction. Okay, so here disproportionation is observed, as well as you can see that Cu2 positive is more stable due to the hydration enthalpy, and the ionization enthalpy is very more positive. So that is the reason for the Cu2 plus ion is a more stable ion as compared to Cu positive ion. Okay, now coming to the next topic, that is the oxidation of the oxo ions of the metals. So oxo ions means what? Oxo ions means whenever oxygen is going to react with the metal, just like we have seen here MnO4 minus ion or Mn2O7 like this. So whenever the oxygen is combining with the metal, then that is called as oxo compound or oxo ions. Okay, so here these are the some of the examples of the oxo compounds. So here you can see that potassium dichromate is one of the oxo compound which is very largely used for oxidation of the organic compounds. So organic compounds are oxidized with the help of this K2Cr2O7, that is called as a potassium dichromate. Now the potassium dichromate preparation, there is a reactions which are mentioned here is the preparation reaction. So there are total 3-step reaction. in the preparation of the potassium dichromate, and you have to write down it so many times, so that you should have to have the writing practice in the examination. So this question is very, very important, and always this question is asked, that is how the potassium dichromate is formed. So the first step is that chromite ore. So chromite ore, it is obtained from the chromite ore, just like that of the iron ore is hematite ore. So in the similar manner, the potassium dichromate ore is the chromite ore. So chromite ore formula is FeCr2O4. Here we have taken the FeCr2O4 4 moles. 4 moles of FeCr2O4, then it is reacted with the sodium carbonate. So see this formula of the sodium carbonate, that is Na2CO3, along with the 7O2. 7O2 means oxygen. In presence of oxygen, and the chromite ore is going to react with the sodium carbonate to form the sodium chromate. Here Na2CrO4 is formed, that is sodium chromate, and here iron oxide is formed as a byproduct, and CO2 is formed as a byproduct. Now here the sodium dichromate, here sodium chromate. So it is a sodium chromate, Na2CrO4, it is a sodium chromate. Now if you see what is the structure of the sodium chromate, this is very important, that the reaction here is important. सोडियम क्रोमेट का अगर मैं स्ट्रक्चर ड्रॉ करता हूँ तो कैसे होगा, हाउ इट विल बी